Good evening, everybody. I hope that came out because even though it says recording, sometimes it takes a minute to actually turn on. It's King Ray Vet, and I was inspired to make this video not by anybody in particular, but something that happened for the umpteenth time on this platform. And it's the reason why it's so very difficult for Black people. It's so very difficult to bring up race or racism or white supremacy with white people. So I was watching a video, and I'm not going to say who these people are. Actually, I can because she just deleted all of her comments so she could delete mine. She didn't want to be told anything. So I was watching Frederic Poag and Zuri Stevens talking on a live, and there was only like two comments in there. Mine saying that it was good to see Zuri live, especially with my buddy Frederic, my Substack buddy Frederic. Um, and there was another comment in there that said, "I I've been to the protests, and 60% or something like that of the I'm just paraphrasing, 60% of the women out there on the protests are old white women." Now, I'm going to put a link once I upload this video to that conversation so you can listen to it yourself. Zuri was talking about why white women aren't showing up in the fight for about white supremacy and what they've been doing since the insanity has started here in the United States. And yeah, so that was the gist of the conversation. But look, it doesn't even have to be that because I've had it happen to me hundreds of times on Substack since I've been here. And what happened was she put a comment in there saying, "It's not as bad as we're not as bad as you think." That is the thing that we're not like them. That is the number one clue that you are like them. Sorry. Um, all I had to do was I was saying some things about how white women have participated in white supremacy, especially over the last 10 years. I mean, how many have you seen on TV when they were putting it on TV of white women calling the police on Black men, hopefully hoping that they get killed by the police? Um, I mean, driving while Black, sitting at home while Black, driving an Uber while Black, just a whole bunch of look at what happens when you're Black in the United States. Um, and it's gone on all of my lifetime, and it's gone on for over 400 years in this country. So I said some very pointed things to her, but it wasn't. I wasn't angry. I wasn't pissed at her. I was just like, "Ugh, here we go again, another one trying to distance themselves from the dance that white women have been doing um, for hundreds of years. The dance that the performative thing of the protests is one thing when you're out there with your people. But and I don't think this lady actually heard the video. I think she just saw the headline. But Zuri said, "What do you do when nobody's watching? Do you stick up for Black women or people of color?" BIPOC, I'll say. I like to say that instead of people of color. What do you do when nobody's looking? And she also was talking about white women taking the charge to create coalitions and to create sisterhood with Black women. Uh-oh, sorry about that. Not started by Black women, started by white women. When are they going to take the wheel and create what is needed in this country while they're gonna get ready to be targeted by white men? You know, they might jump on a bandwagon that Black women start, but they won't start it themselves. And they go running around there with their signs, which is a performative gesture. It's performative. It's not what they do when the cameras are off, what they do when nobody's looking. Look at how many white women voted for this clown that's in office right now. Is white supremacy will dictate that if you don't fall in line with their ideology, with their thinking, with everything that they're about, you are going to be othered in society. And white supremacy is very violent. This fascism, you think it's a mistake that these ICE agents are so violent? It is not a mistake. And that shit is coming straight for white women too, which is what Zuri's point was, is that, you know, when are they going to shit or get off the pot and realize that they must team up with people of color, Black, Indigenous, POC. That's what BIPOC stands for, because we're treated differently than any of the other minorities. So we have a letter by itself. Indigenous people are also treated different by society. So they've got a letter for themselves. And then all the rest of the POC are comprised Hispanics, Asians, Indians from India. So I said these things to this woman, and I could have timed my watch for how long it would take for her to say, "Why are you hating on me?" Hate. You know, that's a strong word. And if anybody, that is a Black fucked up narrative that they have created when they don't like being talked to in an assertive or even an aggressive manner by Black people. It doesn't matter whether you're a Black woman, Black man. Now let me explain something about that too. For 58 years, I lived as a Black woman. Okay? It's only been in the last 10 plus years that I have lived as a Black man. What comes with that is that I was not taught to make myself smaller like Black men have had to do all of their lives. Cisgender Black men, I'm talking about, not trans. I was not in that club, okay, for 58 years. So I'm more than qualified to have this conversation with any woman at any time. I wasn't a woman, but I was socialized as one, and I presented as one, and I was treated like one. So I've been through the gamut, and I can talk the way that I talk with white women. But they always, white women and white men and non-binaries, it doesn't even matter. They always think when you're direct, you don't sugarcoat, you don't tiptoe around their fragile feelings. I always think we're hating. They always use that word. Why are you hating on me? I even had people say that I threatened them when I didn't, or I've said people. I've had people, you know, just use these racist tropes, and I then said to her, knock off the fragility. If you guys don't listen to us, you're not committed to, the ones that are having issues are not committed to getting rid of their racism. And you know what? That shit just made me, that I wasn't mad until she said that. That's something to start an argument, to start a, to trigger me by saying, why are you hating on me? Hate? I wasn't hating on anybody. I was just being very direct in what I was saying and pointing out all of the inequities of what white women have been doing with this thing called white supremacy. There's a spot for them in that thing called white supremacy that has been there since these pilgrims came over here. And I didn't even have to go that far back for her to get offended by me pointing things out to her that, you know, why are you distancing yourself? Like, just because you were at a protest, you think you're not racist. Because the stuff she was saying was racist. And I also said to her, you know, why y'all always do that? Why are you always saying, no, no, not me? Why is that necessary, if not a built-in defense mechanism before you even look and see if you've got qualities of white supremacy going on inside of you, of racism going on inside of you? The racism is why people don't listen to us and haven't listened to us. And the racism is why they won't defend us, is why they won't jump in the fight with us. It's all these things, which is why we're sitting back at the moment and not putting our bodies out there on the line for y'all. Because this is something you've needed to handle since the Civil War. You gave them people a pass, and now here they are. They took over the country because y'all just said, they're just being them. And you distance yourself from them. And now we're in this mess because nobody dealt with how angry those people were. They're the ones that are hating on people. And in fact, what she said was hating on me, not me hating on her. Her saying that I was hating on her when I wasn't hating on her was what? You tell me. You know, why do white people say that when we try to engage them in educating them about race, racism, white supremacy, or whatever? Y'all want to be the blind leading the blind? Have at it. Then you leave these white people that aren't that way out in the cold, and you don't join them. Frederic was talking about that, how they just assume what his ideology is because of the way he looks. They just, if you're white, they will say the most outrageous things around you without knowing how you think. And if you raise up any opposing views about what you think, they're going to come after you. Or they're going to be going like, what, man, how do you think like that? Or whatever. They get highly offended if other white people try to tell them what time it is. Pushing their, white people are so fragile. They can't handle anything. They can't handle criticism. They can't handle being told what to do. They can't, and they're all running around asking, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? It makes us want to pull away and just defend ourselves. Who wants to step into a conversation like that? Who wants to help people that are like that? And they will be the first to stand back and say, help me, and have black people save them. Now, you know, black women got big heads right now, and they're just completely excluding the fact that black men are in this fight as well, and that they get shit too. They don't get as much, but even they are pushing black men away the way white people push black people as a whole away. Black women are pushing black men away or making them sit down and shut up. because of feminism. We've got some psychological mending to do, but guess what? You can only psychologically mend yourself. You're the only one that can look in the mirror. Oh, that's what I said to her was, you know, I'm not hating on anybody. Y'all just hate to look in the mirror unless you're perhaps painting your face. And then I thought, I was 3/4 of the way through that video and thought, I got to get on here and talk about this because it's really grating on my nerves. I see it every day on Substack. They act like Black people shouldn't be there. And if they are there, don't talk to me. Don't tell me about myself. Don't tell me anything about racism. Don't tell me anything about white supremacy. If you're Black, don't tell me. If you're Black, don't say anything. Because if you do, we're going to accuse you of hating on us. White supremacy has hated on us for over 400 years. Do you care? No. And you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, why don't you? Why don't you care? We know about this stuff. We've been fighting those bastards for over 400 years. Generation through generation through generation through generation. We know what's up. And I am not the typical Black man. I speak my mind. I'm not afraid of people. And I've had some of my relatives say, ooh, you're a Black man now. You got to be careful what you say around them people. They'll put your ass in jail and blah, 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 blah. Now, this was from my Black male cousins. And I said to him, what? Oh, no, you're not going to knock that out of me because guess what? I am my father's son, but I'm also my mother's son. And my mother raised us with her fire. My dad was on the road all the time. He was gone at least 8 to 9 months a year, depending on whether they got in the World Series or not. But I need to get on here and talk about that because it is something that is pervasive. It is something that is constant. It is something that is like the fragility button is as big as my house. I can't not bump into it, and they're not doing anything about it. Well, people like that who think they're in the clear because they went to some protests. No, it took one comment with 3 little paragraphs to throw this woman completely off kilter. Because I said some very pointed things about what white women have been doing in this country since they got the right to vote and they got since feminism started, really. I also said, y'all been walking right over Black women, and are you going out and being the first to reach your hand out across the table to create coalitions with them, or are you waiting for them to come to you? We're not coming to you. Black women aren't going to come to you. Black men aren't going to come to white men. We're not to do the work for them anyway. If we do come to them, it's not to do that. It's to educate, but it's not to fight this battle for them that they've needed to fight since the Civil War ended. And put those people in their place once and for all so they don't come back. It's so disconcerting. It is so frustrating. It's so almost like debilitating. They always try to take the wind out of our sails when we're trying to either educate or tell them what the video was really about. That's what I did. And I get accused of hating somebody because I said that. And this happens all the time. It's not just about that video. Anytime I let it be known I'm black. Now, if I don't let them know I'm black, then I get away with saying anything I want. Isn't that interesting? If I tell them I'm black, then all of a sudden, either they don't want to listen, they say that bullshit about hating on me. Wee, hating on me. That's what fucking 47 does. Anytime he's criticized, because he's fragile too. People say it's his fragile ego, but what is it in white women? That is it their ego too? Maybe it's their ego as well. But that fragility prevents us from having a productive conversation with y'all about race, which is, and we know how to get in a conversation with you guys and not talk about it. Just to avoid that bologna sandwich that y'all try to serve up. I like steak. I don't like bologna. Give me steak. Steak of a conversation, a productive, open-minded conversation, because we got some things to teach y'all. We got some things to say. And if you're not open, you're just going to be flouncing around out there, the blind leading the blind. And meanwhile, we're going to be deep, deep, deep inside of authoritarian rule by the time people get their head out of the sand and out of their ass in this country. White people. Y'all the ones got to fix this now. You're going to start being treated like we've been treated for 400 years. What you gonna do when that happens to you? Probably cry victim instead of being strong-hearted, strong-willed, speaking up when nobody's looking. Because, you know, that's been going on too for 400 years. For every 10,000 people, I can make it even 1,000. For every 1,000, no, 10,000, leave it at 10,000. For every 10,000 people, 10,000. So 9,999 just see these things happen. They see their family members talking shit. They see racist stuff. They see it, and then they just ignore it and walk away. They won't confront it. They'd rather distance themselves from it without ever looking at, ooh, did this stuff rub off on me? Is that part that we got to deal with and try and talk to y'all about race. We're the ones that can tell you about it. Are you interested? Or are you just going to be performative about your fight against white supremacy, against these white nationalists, against these oligarchs, against these tech bros, against everybody that's involved in this takeover of the United States? It's been taken over, people. Wake up. It has been taken over. And folks are trying to act like it hasn't, because it hasn't touched their front door yet. And by the time that people wake up to this, it's going to be up to here instead of at your knees when we, you know, in our respective ways, tackle this and destroy it and take this regime out of office, take them down. That's why a civil war will start, because I'll say 70, 80% of the white people have not caught on to, or I'll say of everybody in the country has been ignoring what's going on. They're not even aware. And I just found out the numbers that I've been wondering about Substack. It's being reported that there are 20,000 subscribers on Substack. I'm sorry, 20 million. 20 million. But there's people who get on there and they read and they make comments on posts and articles and essays that where we didn't turn on. We made them open to everyone and didn't make you pay to participate. So I'll give it probably another 5 million, maybe 10 million. So there's about 30 million people on Substack. You know what? That's a lot of people. But is it enough to sway a bunch of idiots that have taken over the country when a whole bunch of millions of those people are like that woman that I was talking to today? Now that they're like that, I told her, you sound like white. I said, white supremacists say that when we're trying to talk to them. You know how that every accusation is, okay, what's the saying? Every accusation is, no, every accusation is, oh my God, I just said that earlier today. I'm a little tired. So I can't remember that other word. And this is Substack, so I can't stick little cards in there. Or I don't have the equipment to stick things in there when I figure it out before I upload this to Substack. God dang it. But they tell on themselves when they project what's going on with them onto you. That does not ever faze me. In fact, I'll smack them around a little bit when they do it. It's like, no, don't accuse me of doing what you're doing. Don't accuse me of having the emotions that you have inside. I ain't hating on anybody. I'm an educator. I'm somewhat of an influencer. I'm just not around all the time doing that sort of thing. I said I would be on videos a lot, and I meant that because I just people. I love you, but you get on my last nerve. It's like, oh my God, I'm too old for this bullshit. So that's what I got on here to say is please, 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 please knock off the no, not me. Because I know how to talk to you to get it to come out in 5 minutes. That's all it takes me to poke around there and see, no, you got that fragility button thing going on. So there's a reason that is there. And you're going to be very, very defensive in a conversation about race, especially if you're white. You're never going to get anywhere with that mindset, with that attitude, with that you can't tell me shit attitude. And then I went over to see what was in the conversation so I could repeat what was said in there, and she deleted it. What kind of ghost ass cowardice is that? I don't want her on my team. If I saw her in a protest, I would go stand somewhere else because guess what? She's pretending to protest this stuff if it's inside of her. If it's inside of you, you got to go in there and take it out. You got to reprogram it. That's why I got involved with Walter and Bob, is because they've done some of that work. But there's a whole lot of white people who have not. And they've got to do it. And it shouldn't matter who tells them to do it. You know, poor Walter, he feels so attacked because that's their defense mechanism, is to attack you, say you're wrong, say you're doing something fucked up, say blah, blah, blah. The whole idea of him being there is talking about what he's talking in a very passionate way is to wake people up, and they will fight tooth and nail to stay asleep. I learned that in year 1 of Alcoholics Anonymous, how we will fight to stay miserable, stay ignorant, stay angry, leave me alone. Let me sit in my shit. Let me sit in the poor me, poor me, poor me's. People forgot how to learn or something. Very odd. Lessons that we have had to learn because white supremacy has been in our face the entire time we've been in this country. And we had to make the best of it. We had to still learn how to laugh. We still had to learn how to thrive. We still had to, put food on the table. We still had to do everything that everybody else does in life, and with an extra dose of racism on top. That is the difference. Y'all haven't had a lifetime full of this. We have, and we know what's going on. But you don't want to listen to us. That is so bizarre. What do I do? What do I do? Oh no, I don't want to do that. Look in the mirror. Oh no. Look in the mirror. Ain't nothing wrong with me. You're being mean to me. I wasn't being mean to her. Being mean to her would be cussing her out. What the hell? It's a kind of a cultural thing too, perhaps. Because if you don't sugarcoat it for them and make it sweet as sugar or whatever, I do not tiptoe around your fragile emotions. I won't. I don't. And I don't have to. We've been doing that since we got here too. But some of us are waking up to the fact that we're tired of that. Why do we have to make space for your feelings instead of our own when we're the ones going through this 24/7, 365? We have to be aware of it all the time because it can hit us out of nowhere and we still have to be able to deal with it. Your turn. So y'all have a good evening, and King Rayvet is out. Peace.